and me and a friend of yours and my pro, an 18-hole playing lesson at the club, Bayonne Golf Club, world famous, right across from where we sit at the Seaport every morning. Go to ebay.com/ESPN right now. You can bid through July 10th, and all proceeds, 100 cents on the dollar, benefit the V Foundation for Cancer Research.
Women's World Cup. The U.S. women's national team advanced to the World Cup final with a 2-1 win over England. Goalie Alyssa Nair was huge. Answered her critics with a clutch save on a penalty kick late in the match. And afterwards, she caught up with our Julie Foudy to talk about the big moment of her life and that big save.
Everything kind of went blank, actually. It was it's like an eerie calm kind of in the stadium. But just was able to get a good jump on it, good read on it, and went my way.
Your teammates, I noticed, came up to you right after that. What did they say to you?
They were just yelling and excited. It's one of those, I don't often get to celebrate goals being scored, so it was kind of fun to be part of a celebration. But no, I think that just says a lot about this team, and we fight together and we celebrate together, and it takes all 23 of us.
Such a great moment to see. Now, Megan Rapinoe did not play in the win over England because of a hamstring issue sustained in the second half of the win against France. Rapinoe has tallied 5 goals for the U.S. during the tournament. They hope they get her back soon. And Julie Foudy joining us now from France to give us the latest. And what is the latest on the status of Megan Rapinoe, Julie?
Well, Megan Rapinoe said in the mix zone after the game, she said a slight injury, a hamstring, of course, as you said. And she said, look, I expect to be back on Sunday. The other one in this mix that we haven't talked about is Rose Lavelle, who I think, alongside Megan Rapinoe, Laura, is one of the most creative players the United States has on the field. She has a chronic history of hamstring injuries. She mouthed, they caught on the telecast yesterday when they pulled her off, she said, it's my hamstring. She also said, I'm good. I'll be back on Sunday. I believe Megan will be back on Sunday. I'm less optimistic about Rose, but the United States definitely would love to see both players healthy on Sunday.
Yeah, it'd be great to see both of them back out there. Now, the Americans will play the winner, Julie, of today's match between the Netherlands and Sweden. Which of those teams do you think is a better matchup for the U.S.?
I actually think the Swedish team is the better matchup because of the history with Sweden. You may recall they knocked the United States out of the Olympics in 2016. Hope Solo had the comment, they were the cowards. They played in a low bunker. They got the better of the United States. It's the earliest the United States have ever exited. But I think the better game, actually, from a spectator's perspective, would be the Dutch. So I'm actually hoping they get the Dutch because they have an exciting team. They have 3 great forwards, world-class players, Enlika Martens, Miedema, and Van de Sanden. Very similar to the United States with 3 great forwards as well. So I am personally hoping for a Dutch-U.S. matchup, actually. I think it's the better game.
I hear you, and either way, I think it's great, but I'm more interested in Sweden just for the revenge factor. Julie, thanks so much for joining us with all the latest from France.
Of course.
Boy, does it look nice where she is.
Did
anyone else think that as we were watching that? My
really
goodness.
Nice.
I want that assignment next year. Okay, here's my assignment right now. We have a game here we call it Call Me an Idiot, But. RJ is here. I'm going to make a series of brilliant and insightful predictions, and you will decide whether or not you think I'm an idiot. Okay. Here is the first one. Call me an idiot, but after all of the consternation and all of the criticism, and much of it was 100% deserved, I believe in this coming basketball season, the New York Knicks are going to make the playoffs.
Oh, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. There's nothing about this. I love RJ Barrett. I think he is a piece, and that's what the Knicks need to start doing. They need to start accumulating pieces, but they are so far from the playoffs. Even in the Eastern Conference, I think they'll be back in tank mode by game 2.
By game 2. See, I don't think so. And tank mode here's the thing. No one followed the Knicks last year because they gave you no reason to follow them. No. The Knicks were tanking to the nth degree, which is to say they weren't just playing young players. If any of the young players happened to be playing well in a given game, they would take him out. They will be trying to win games. I believe they will be trying to win games starting this year. They have put together some pieces that are actually not that bad, and they weren't themselves as bad as their record was a year ago. The Eastern Conference is a wasteland. Yes. I mean, there were teams in that conference that flat out can't play at all. I think the Knicks are going to make a surprising run, and they're going to wind up sneaking in as the 8th seed in the East.
It's not true just because you want it to be true, Game.
Next. I'm not even sure I want it to be true. Next. Call me an idiot. But despite all the hype and hoopla, and I think he's going to be a great player, and I'm thrilled that he is in the league, I do not believe that Zion Williamson is going to be the Rookie of the Year this coming year.
I'm not going to call you an idiot on this one, because I think there's so much expectation on their team that their team's going to have some success. I think if you look at R.J. Barrett, he might just play 38 minutes a night. So his numbers are going to be elevated. Same with Ja Morant. I think these guys are just going to just play and play and play. Where I think if you're trying to win in New Orleans, there's going to be some days if you're down by 20, he's not going to play in the second half. I think he's going to be the most popular vote. I think he's going to be one of the leading vote getters in the All-Star game. So there's a chance that he even might make the All-Star game, but might not be Rookie of the Year.
I agree. You have exactly pinpointed what I think is the situation here. The last time the #1 overall pick came into the league in a situation like this was Tim Duncan in 1998 on a team that had other really good players. The Pelicans, I'm not going to use the word stacked because these guys are not superstars, but they have a bunch of good players. He will not be expected to carry the load the way a lot of the other rookies are going to.
And let's say this, with Brandon Ingram, with Lonzo Ball, there's a lot of guys out there that are looking to play. They're not just going to concede to him and everything push. There's a bunch of guys that are still trying to prove that they deserve a max contract.
Next, call me an idiot, but after all that has happened and the extraordinary roller coaster ride that they've been on over the course of the last 12 months, I believe the Boston Celtics this coming year are going to be much, much better. And part of the reason is because Kyrie Irving isn't there. And I do not mean that solely to slander Kyrie. He is a brilliant player. I wish him nothing but the best in Brooklyn. I think there is a chance that will go extraordinarily well. But the mix there, for whatever reason, was a disaster. They were infinitely better when he didn't play last year than they were when he did. There are still a bunch of really good players there who didn't forget how to play. And they added Kemba Walker, who I think does almost everything Kyrie does and does it within the flow of what everyone else is. I think the Celtics are going to be really good this year.
I think they are going to be really good. And everyone can talk about they don't have much in their front court, but show me one team that has been dominated in the postseason that a front court player has really and truly dominated. I think that Danny Ainge needs to get a little bit more credit. He had an injured Isaiah Thomas, gone. You got Kyrie Irving, didn't work out, gone. You just replaced all NBA point guard with all NBA point guard with all NBA point guard and bringing Kemba Walker in there. That's not easy to do. The fact that you were able to pull this off is impressive, and I think their team is going to be solid.
Yeah, I mean, look, they've been building for a long time with all of these assets, and you keep thinking, when is it he's going to cash in, go all in, and have a team that figures to win the championship? A lot of us thought that maybe last year would be that year. Okay, final one. Call me an idiot. There are a lot of stars around the NBA. There are huge names changing places right now that have Woj and everybody else frantically waiting. But the 2020 most valuable player in the NBA is going to be Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets.
This right here, ladies and gentlemen, was probably the most impressive thing he's done with his basketball knowledge, right? I will say that I was impressed the minute you said that, and I smiled because of this. One, if the Lakers, they're going to have too many guys if Kawhi goes there. Let's assume that, right? So you have those three guys, which will all be doing load management. Even if Kawhi goes back to or goes to LA or goes to Toronto, he's going to be under load management. Then you have to look at the Westbrooks. Then you have to look at Giannis. You have to look at James Harden. I think that the Denver Nuggets will be going all in. They have all of their guys back. His numbers are going to be great, and they have a possibility of having the #1 seed. If you're the #1 seed and his numbers are what they are, they have a chance to have him be the MVP.
Nikola Jokic is the most underappreciated player in the entire NBA, and he was first team All-NBA. That's how good he is, and I think that team. He's 23 years old, and that team is going to win 60-plus games this year. I'm looking for. He didn't call me an idiot quite enough times. I'm looking at Farnham over there. Go ahead. Call me an idiot.
No,
you don't agree on Jokic? He did a good job.
He did a good job, but you're wrong on Jokic.
Tell me why.
Okay, do we forget what Steph Curry was prior to Kevin Durant? 30 points per game, over 6.5 assists per game, over 5 rebounds per game, shooting 50% from the field, 45% from the three-point line, hitting 402 three-pointers. That was his last season.
And let me tell you why he won't win the MVP. I think those numbers are going to be similar to, let's say, James Harden-esque, where your numbers are great, but you're going to be floating there around 6, 7, or 8. Now, if you give me a Jokic with the numbers that he's going to put up at center, and they're the 1 or 2 seed, all of a sudden it's just like Giannis. How Giannis won the MVP is because his team won 60 games. They had the best record in the NBA. That's how we got it.
Okay, but flash and how you play also sometimes can come into how people vote. Jokic doesn't play the most appeasing. I don't disagree, but people sometimes look at him and go, that's not the most appeasing, where you're going to see the star flash and flare of Steph Curry that's going to create all the headlines that we're going to talk about and show his highlights a heck of a lot more.
We will see. Obviously, I'm in control to some degree of whose highlights we show. You're going to see a lot of Nikola Jokic coming up next season. All right, well done, boys. Let's run the bases now, and let's start in baseball with Brewers All-Star Christian Yelich launching his Major League leading 31st home run of the season yesterday in a loss to the Reds. He now has the third most home runs by a National League player before the All-Star break in the last 20 years. Only Barry Bonds and Luis Gonzalez ever hit more. Elsewhere, the Dodgers literally walked off against the Diamondbacks. They were down by a run, 2 outs, bases empty in the 9th. The Dodgers rallied by drawing 5 straight walks to bring in the tying and winning runs. According to the Elias Sports Bureau, the Dodgers are the first team in the live ball era, so that's 1920, to walk 5 consecutive times to end a game with no outs in the middle of the streak. Elsewhere, Subway Series, the Yankees power bats failed to make the trip back from London. Their record streak of 31 straight games with a home run came to an end in a 4-2 loss to the Mets at Citi Field. It was the first time since May 25th the Yankees had failed to homer in a game. They hit 57 home runs during that streak. And you will see the Yankees try to bounce back as they take on the Mets tonight. You'll see it on ESPN. First pitch, 7 Eastern. And as always, you can catch all of the action on the ESPN app. Meanwhile, little eye candy for everybody here. A must-see strikeout from the game between the Orioles and the Rays. You're going to see Orioles outfielder Anthony Santander. He's going to strike out on a ball that winds up going through his legs. Just look at this.
A nasty pitch right there.
I've seen this happen before.
Where?
Little League, when they're like 11 years old. Like, I mean,
it looks like one of those special wiffle balls you can buy late at night at TV that just kind of moves and
at
keeps
least
doing that.
it hit his shin. It looked like it was about to hit him in the shin.
It brushes his pants, it appears. All right, coming up. All eyes still on Kawhi. Where has he been? Where is he going next? When will he have a new team? You've got questions. We've got answers in our next hour. You're watching Get Up. And this morning, we're on ESPN.